Well, the first action, as I told you, August, September, there were, the Ukrainians were shooting people. I think they would have shot altogether maybe 40, 50 people. Not more were killed. They were just bashing clubs and so on. But then in 28th of October, 41, what I didn't mention to you, also there was a Ukrainian police formed. The policemen were boys out of town in the age of around 20, 22. Very cruel, simple guys. So in 28th of October 1941, the Gestapo appeared. Ukrainians and Gestapo men had a list to collect people. On the list were well-to-do people, well-educated people, and young people. In other words, they tried to eliminate first the leadership of a town or of a people. And they went from house to house and collected people. My parents were on that list too. When they came, father was in Judenrat. And mother got some feeling that something is not in order and asked myself and my older brother to go into hiding. We had the stables built in the back of our house. We should go there. And I laughed it off. I said it couldn't be. So I said, I'll go into town and find out. As I was walking into town, I met a guy, but the streets were empty, completely empty. Met a Jewish guy, said, what's happening? He said, nothing. I'm coming from town, everything is all right. So I came home and told that to mother. I said, okay, I want my peace of mind. Please go and hide in that stable. At the same time, also a Jewish couple lived in our place. So they joined us. And my younger brother wasn't home. And within 10, 15 minutes, I heard screams in the house. And after 2 or 5 or 10 minutes, I heard the dog running, barking. So I realized they took mother. So what happened? A Gestapo man with a Ukrainian guy came to collect my parents. Father wasn't there, so he wanted to take mother, and mother begged him, look here, I've got small children, please let me stay. She opened the wardrobe, she picked up father's fur. He said, okay, Sarah, you can stay home. You see, every Jewish woman was called Sarah, stay home. So the Ukrainian guy said, sorry, she's coming with us. We are to collect her, so she's coming with us. And they collected her. At the same time, in our place was also living our maid, a Ukrainian woman, with her husband and kid. That means my parents asked him to move in as kind of a protection. So, and she was there when it took place. Some 10 minutes later, she came to us. She said, listen, you must run away because they came and asked for you and my brother. That means for the 2 elder boys. So we went, through the fence to our next door neighbor, Dudziński. And kids coming from school saw us, and they announced us to the Gestapo. So as we came to Dudziński, through his stable, we climbed his attic of the stable, and there were 2 little rooms, one a little room with hay on it, and the other one there was a stove in the middle, with some junk. And in the meantime, Bob, my younger brother, came. So we went to Dudziński. He crawled under the hay, and the couple Friedman, my brother and myself, went into the other room. And so we squeezed in, and my brother was the last one, so you could see him as you came in. So the Gestapo came and climbed the attic. They turned over the hay, and somehow they didn't find my brother. And as my brother was sitting, they could see his coat, so they grabbed him and dragged him out. So, and I was sitting next. So I didn't volunteer. I said, all right, they'll take me. Mrs. Friedman got up and walked out. So they grabbed her, and they asked her, is there anyone else here? So they both said, no, we are the only 2. So they took them, and we stayed on. And so they assembled 1,000 people. They tortured them for 26 hours, and then they took them to the forest and shot them. The same night, the Gestapo arranged a ball and invited Ukrainian women. And amongst them was a teacher who was very friendly with the Friedmans. Friedman was a headmaster of a school. And she suspected that the Friedman, I think she had a crush on him, might be taken. So she asked the Gestapo man, she was dancing with him, would he check out whether the family Friedman is there, if Josef Friedman and his wife, and if yes, would he release them? And they released her. When they took them to the forest, they released her, and she came at night back to our place and told us what took place. She told also Friedman that his whole family was taken. He, at the time, he collapsed, and was rather they had to revive him the same night. And then the next morning, there were 1,000 people less, and then you started to cope with it under the best of circumstances. There was a Ukrainian fellow, very dangerous fellow. He was very active under the NKVD and then with the Gestapo. And he came to my father. He said, for $5,000, he'll see that my mother and brother will be released. And you see, my father was from an old school. He said, yes, you'll have your $5,000 provided you bring me a signature of my wife, which of course he couldn't. But there were people who lived with the hope for another year or two that their relatives are still alive, taken somewhere to work.
How did your father cope with the news?
He never talked. He became the machine again. He was in Judenrat day and night. He never talked, and that was that. And then when the second action came, so they invited the Judenrat to participate, he wouldn't go. And then he changed his mind, and early in the morning he ran. And he could see the Gestapo, so he came back home. And, that was that, and about 6 weeks or 5 weeks later they released him from the Judenrat.
And what was the effect on that on your brother and yourself?
I suffered the loss of my brother much more than the loss of my mother. I don't know how to explain it. I was very attached to him. He was not only a brother, also a friend. But my brother suffered terribly the loss of mother. He was very attached to mother. And the first few months was a very funny relation. We were a family, not a family. That means we went in 3 different directions. And it took quite a bit of time and effort to become a unit again.